Ready this way, sir? Please follow me. Sure. Please face the judge and raise your right hand.
Solemnly swear the testimony about to give in their man in hand should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
State your full name.
Frederick DeMarco,
Can you spell your last name?
DEMARCO,
And where do you work, sir?
the North Attleboro Police Department,
And how long have you worked there?
18 years,
How are you currently assigned?
lieutenant on the third watch,
Okay, and what is the third watch? What hours?
4 to midnight.
Taking you back to June 17th of 2013, do you recall working on that date?
Yes,
And do you recall what shift you worked?
4 to midnight.
And how were you assigned on that date?
I was the shift commander for the evening shift.
And the evening would be the 4 to 12?
Yes,
Okay. Sometime approximately, sometime after 5:30, 5:35, were you at the station?
I was out on patrol.
And did you receive a radio communication?
Yes,
And as a result of that, did you go somewhere?
yes.
Where did you go?
The North Attleboro Industrial Park,
Okay.
Corliss Landing area.
And approximately how far were you from that location when you received that radio communication?
I was on the opposite side of town, probably 10 minutes away.
Okay. And as a result of receiving it within 10 minutes, did you arrive at that location?
Yes.
And where did you, specifically, where did you go?
I pulled up to the, I pulled up off the Industrial Park Road and parked where the first arriving cruisers had parked.
Okay. And what type of vehicle were you in?
Just a marked SUV.
Okay. Were you in uniform on that shift?
Yes.
And what did you do after you parked your car?
I exited the cruiser and I proceeded up to the scene.
And did you meet with any fellow officers?
Yes.
And who did you meet with?
Captain Dorenzo. In particular, there were some other officers there, Officer McEwen, I believe Officer Zimmer.
Were there any detectives there at that time?
I don't believe so.
Okay. At some time shortly after your arrival, did you see any detectives?
Yes.
And who did you first see?
Detective Arrighi.
Now, just tell us about, just briefly describe the observations that you made in that area.
Upon approaching the scene,
Yes, sir.
there was a deceased individual, black male, on the ground. I spoke with the captain, was directed to walk a particular, avoid walking in a particular area, and made my way up to have a game plan for what was to proceed.
Okay. When you said you walked a particular way to avoid a particular area, was that on your way in?
Yes.
Okay. And what area, was there something about an area that you noticed? Did you see any disturbance to the ground?
Yes.
And did you just describe what you saw?
Just tire tracks in the sand.
Okay. And as a result of that, did you avoid that area?
Yes.
And where did you go from there?
Up towards the deceased.
Okay. And at some point after approaching the deceased, did you assist Detective Arrighi in doing something?
Yes.
And what was that?
We collected the shell casings.
Okay. And what caused you to collect shell casings with Detective Arrighi?
There was a bad storm moving in at the time.
And just describe how you collected shell casings with Detective Arrighi.
Detective Arrighi had evidence bags, paper bags. He produced them. I held them. He placed the shell casings into the paper bags.
Okay. And prior to collecting any evidence, did you put on anything?
Yes.
What did you put on?
Just latex gloves.
And what about Detective Arrighi?
He also had gloves on.
Okay. And just describe then what you did from there.
We just collected shell casings. Do you want me to say how many? or-
Well, let me just ask you this. Did you observe a number of shell casings?
Yes.
And where were they, just roughly, in relation to the deceased?
From the deceased head, they went in a semicircle around the left side of his body, towards his left foot.
Okay. And how many were there?
There was 5.
Ronnie, may I approach?
Me.
Sure, I'm just going to show you this photograph, ask you if you recognize it.
Yes.
What do you recognize it to be?
The victim.
Okay. And you indicated that there were a certain number of shell casings that, in an area near the head?
Yes.
Okay. Did you make some markings to this photograph, roughly indicating the locations as you remembered them?
Yes.
Okay. Are they in red?
Yes.
And does this fairly and accurately portray the scene as you found it in the rough areas where you recall those shell casings?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd offer this as the next exhibit.
Objection.
Mark as the next exhibit.
Thank you. Your Honor, if I could publish this at this time.
Yeah.
I'm putting number 58 on the screen here. You see that all right? You recognize that, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated there was some markings that you had placed on it. Just going to use my pen. Do you see one of them being here?
Yes.
And the next, is that one of your markings?
Yes.
What about this?
Yes.
This next one?
Yes.
And how about over here?
Yes.
Now, with regard to the collection of these items, you described you had put gloves on, and Detective Arrighi had provided some bags.
Yes.
And just tell us how it was collected from that point forward.
Detective Riggi retrieved the shell casings, placed them in the bags. Then I placed the bags in Detective Riggi's cruiser.
Okay. And after placing them in his cruiser, did you do anything to secure them in the cruiser?
We had an officer stationed at the entrance where his cruiser was.
Okay.
You may.
I'm going to show you 4 items here. First, this one. You recognize this?
Yes.
Okay. And just generally speaking, what is this?
It's one of the evidence bags we used.
Okay. And I'm holding 3 others. Do you recognize them to be the same?
Similar, yes.
Okay. Is there anything different about these bags than the ones you used that day?
No, sir.
Okay. And was there any writing on the bags when these items were being collected?
No.
Now, in terms of, just describe first of all how you collected them, how were you holding the bags?
I just held them with my hand and Detective Riggi placed the shell casing in.
Did you have any contact with any of the shell casings?
No, sir.
Now, I'm showing you this next envelope. You don't recognize this, do you?
No.
That's not an envelope that you placed these items in?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, in the first bag, Detective Arrighi put how many shell casings?
Was one in the first bag.
And what about in the next bag?
The second bag had 2 shell casings.
Okay. I'm just going to have you take a look at this item. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, what do you recognize it to be?
One of the shell casings.
Okay. And this item here, do you notice any writing on it?
Yes.
Is that your writing?
No, sir.
Do you know whether later on it was sent for further examination?
It was.
Does it, outside of the writing being on it, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when it was recovered at the scene?
Yes, sir.
Now, this next, again, you don't recognize this envelope.
No, sir.
I'll show you what's contained here. You recognize these two items.
Yes.
And what do you recognize those to be?
Shell casings from the scene.
Okay. And again, is there some writing on these?
Yes,
That was not there at the time of the recovery, is that true?
that's true.
Pulling out another bag that was inside this brown evidence bag. You don't recognize this either.
No.
Showing you this next item, do you recognize that?
Yes,
And what do you recognize that to be?
one of the shell casings.
Last, show you one more. There's an envelope inside similar to the others,
Yes,
and that's not your envelope, is that right?
that's correct.
I'm showing you the item contained inside. You recognize it,
Yes,
and what do you recognize to be?
one of the shell casings collected.
Okay, and again, this has some writing on it as well, not your writing.
Not our writing, no.
Now, do all of these, how many in total?
5 total?
And do they all appear to be in substantially the same condition, absent the writing that was on them?
Correct.
Your Honor, if I would offer these shell casings as the next exhibits.
Your Honor, I don't object to the actual shell casings without all of the...
Read, Your Honor.
Right.
Subject to redaction of
Yes, sir.
text. They marked as the next exhibits.
Thank you. This time, Your Honor, could we mark these and we'll substitute the
Sure.
envelope? Thank you.
'59 through '62.
And Your Honor, if I could just use the overhead to display the case. So I'm placing on the overhead exhibit number 59. So is this the item I just showed you a few moments ago?
Yes.
Sure. I'm now placing exhibit 60. Do you recognize the two of these items, what I had just shown you at the...
Yes.
at the response? Now placing exhibit number 61. Recognize that as the item you were just seen a few minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
Last, exhibit number 62. Is that the last item I showed you?
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, after you collected those items and they were placed in a car, what else, what did you do from there?
Assisted in preparing the scene to preserve evidence.
Okay, and how was that done, sir?
We had acquired some tarps from the fire department and some tent canopies.
Okay, and did you participate in erecting those or covering certain areas?
Yes.
Okay. And after you did that, at some point, did the weather change?
Yes.
And how did it change?
The storm had moved in. It was a rainstorm.
Okay. And did you remain at the scene for the duration of the storm?
Yes.
Did you seek cover somewhere?
Yes.
Where was that?
The deceased was covered, and the tire tracks were covered, and some footprints.
Okay. And did you seek cover for yourself during the course of the
Oh,
rainstorm?
yes, sir.
Okay, and where did you go?
We had a tent just for some, for the investigators on the scene.
Okay. Now, in regards to where you had observed the body, did you ever go down to the area of where the feet were? Or below the feet, I should say?
When we secured the tarp, rocks were placed on the tarp all around it.
Okay. And the tarp, which tarp were you securing with rocks?
I helped with both.
Okay, and when you say both, where were the tarps? What areas were they placed over?
The victim as well as the tire tracks.
Okay. Now, there were two other smaller little, one was a cover of something, and another was a small type tarp that were placed over two other areas. Do you remember those?
I do. I did not participate in that.
Okay. And after, approximately how long did that rainstorm last?
I would say, I believe about an hour.
Okay. And after the hour, did it stop raining?
Yes.
And after it stopped raining, was certain action taken with regards to the body?
Yes.
And were you present for that?
Yes.
And just tell us what happened at that time.
The top was removed, and the Detective Sissio for our police department inventoried the body.
Okay. And during the inventory of the body, do you recall certain observing certain items coming off the body?
Yes.
So I'm just going to show you this photograph and ask you if you recognize what's depicted in the photograph.
The victim's wallet, as well as his ID.
And does that fairly inaccurately portray them as these items were coming off the body and then being displayed for photographs?
Yes.
I'd offer this as the next exhibit.
Objection.
Thank you. And may I put you on your own? Sir, I'm just going to show you now an item that was previously marked A for identification, ask you if you recognize that.
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be?
The victim's identification card?
Okay. Is that any different than what's contained in what's now been marked 63?
No, sir, not that I can see.
Your Honor, if I could offer this now as the next exhibit, please.
No objection.
And mark this next exhibit.
With 64.
Thank you. I can oversee, Your Honor, on the overhead. Thank you. Sir, I'm placing number 63 on the overhead. Do you recognize what's depicted here?
Yes.
And just describe for the jury what is here in this photograph.
The victim's driver's license identification and his wallet.
And is this also an evidence bag that you,
Yes.
North Attleboro Police was using at that time?
Yes.
Now, let me just show you now what's now been marked exhibit number 64. Did you recognize that as well?
The victim's driver's license?
And, sir, after your involvement at the scene, did you remain involved in this investigation, or was it assigned to other people in the organization?
It was assigned to other people in the organization.
Okay. But at some point within the next couple of days, did you produce a pair of shoes for pictures?
Yes.
If I could approach you on.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you this photograph, sir, and ask you if you recognize what's depicted here.
My boots.
When you say your boots, you recognize them as the boots you were wearing on the date of June 17, 2013?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do they fairly and accurately portray the sole pattern?
Yes.
I'm going to offer this as the next exhibit.
No objection.
And mark this next exhibit.
Thank you. I can publish this as well. Placing on the overhead. That last photograph, you recognize those as your boots.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Just a moment to find the exhibit, Your Honor, please. Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon.
You arrived at the scene about 5:50, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were there till around 8:30?
Yes, sir.
Who was in charge when you got there?
When I arrived, my Captain Lorenzo was in charge.
Okay. And you told us that you assisted Detective Arrighi in collecting some evidence, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who, if anyone, directed you and Detective Arrighi to collect that evidence?
Came through the channels, I believe through the captain.
So was it Captain Dorenzo who directed you and Detective Arrighi to pick up those shell casings, sir?
There was contact with the state police ballisticians.
Well, who told you to do it? Can you tell us that?
I cannot.
You don't know who told you to do it?
Detective Arrighi was on the phone with, I believe, the state police ballisticians.
Okay, so...
Advised the situation of the weather and went from there.
Well, you don't have personal knowledge. You weren't part of that conversation, right?
No, sir.
Okay. So did someone tell you to help Arrighi collect the shell casings?
No, I was there to assist.
Did someone tell you to assist him?
I was just being helpful, sir.
So you took it upon yourself to help him, right?
I was available on the scene to help do whatever needed to be done.
And you volunteered to assist him. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Exactly what time did you and Detective Arrighi collect the shell casings?
I am not sure the exact time, sir.
You wrote a report about your response to the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in your report, you don't document what time you and Detective Arrighi picked up this evidence, do you?
Just that it was prior to the storm.
But as far as the time, you don't document a time, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. And have you been trained in the collection of evidence at crime scenes, Lieutenant?
Yes.
Okay. And so as part of that training, that individual pieces of evidence are to be placed in separate containers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with respect to one of these bags, you told us on direct examination that either you or Detective Arrighi put 2 shell casings into the same bag, right?
Yes.
Was that you or him?
You or him what?
Who did that?
He placed them in the bag.
Arrighi did that.
Yes, sir.
Now, in your report that documented what happened at the scene, did you indicate in your report, sir, that Arrighi put 2 shell casings into the same bag?
I don't believe so, sir.
Do you recall what you indicated in your report about Arrighi placing the casings into separate bags?
Just that they were placed into the bags and the bags were secured in his cruiser.
Do you recall what, if anything, you said about whether they were placed into separate bags, Lieutenant?
I don't recall.
Showing you a document, Lieutenant, does that refresh your recollection that in your report that you stated that Arrighi placed the casings into separate bags?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a pretty clear memory of what happened at the scene that day, Lieutenant?
Pretty clear.
Now, you told us on direct examination that it was Detective Cicchio who inventoried the contents of the decedent's pockets. Is that right?
He was the detective in charge at that point for our department.
Well, was it Detective Cicchio or Trooper Shervin who did that?
There was a lot of people around. In my department, Detective Ciccio was around.
Well, who did it, sir? Who inventoried the pockets of the decedent?
I don't know who exactly pulled everything out of every pocket.
Thank you, sir.
Remember Sergeant Ciccio inventorying the items?
Yes.
And he was from your department?
Yes.
And when Mr. Sultan just asked you about the 2 casings that went into the same bag, do you know which 2 casings those were?
Yes.
And which ones were they?
They were from the same location. It was in a pothole type area. They were right beside one another.
Thank you, sir. I have nothing else.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would call Edward Reese, please.
Right this way, sir. Please follow me. Please remain standing, face the clerk, and raise your right hand.
Sir, do you solemnly swear that the testimony I'm about to give to this court and this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, state your full name,
Edward Reese.
and do you work?
I do.
And where do you work?
I currently employed with a private utility company,
And prior to working for the private utility company, where did you work?
state police,
How long did you work for the state police?
20 years.
And do you recall, were you working back in June of 2013?
Yes.
And at that time, how were you assigned?
I was assigned to the Ballistics, the crime lab in Lakeville, Ballistics section.
Okay. And on that, on directing your attention to June 17th of that month, do you recall working on that date?
Yes.
Sometime in the evening hours, did you receive a communication to go somewhere?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you go?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I'd have to refer to the report, but it was North Attleboro for the, I
Okay.
don't recall the address, but
Okay, well, do you recall just a general description of that area?
it was a dead-end road, I believe. It was a gravel pit area. Minimal houses around that immediate area.
Okay. And at the time that you went to that area, did you meet with somebody?
Yes, I did.
And who did you meet with?
There were a few detectives there. The one I remember was Detective Danny Riggi.
And did you know him from before?
Yes, I did.
And at that time when you met with him,
Yes.
okay, what did you do with the bag that you collected from Detective Origi?
We secured it
And-
in my sergeant's vehicle at first, and then later in my vehicle.
I see. And who is your sergeant?
Sergeant Stephen Walsh.
Okay. And after securing it, at some point, did you transport that bag and the items inside somewhere?
Yes.
And where did you transport them
To
to?
the crime lab in Lakeville.
Okay, and just tell us, what did you do at that location, back at the crime
At that point, we issued an individual item number to each item in the bag, sealed them up, initialed the envelopes, and we put them in our crime lab lockup facility pending analysis.
Okay. And did you at least, when you were logging them in, did you make observations of the items?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach? Sir, I'm going to show you what's now been marked. 59, 60, 61, and 62. Let me show you this first item. Well, first of all, let me just start with this bag. When you received this bag, did it have any writing on it?
I don't recall the writing on it.
Okay. Do you, looking at this bag, do you recognize the writing?
Yes, a portion of this writing is my handwriting.
Okay, and what portion is your handwriting?
EDR, my initials, my ID number. I can't read what that says. The package empty, the item number, discharge cartridge
Okay,
case.
so you made some notations on the bag.
Correct.
Now, there's a number in sort of a stronger pen, a Sharpie or something, that assigned it a number. That's not your...
That's not my doing.
Now, this envelope that I just pulled out of that bag, do you recognize this?
Yes.
And what do you recognize this to be?
That would be a LIMS itemized ticket that issues an item number and describes a brief description of what it is.
Okay, and when you refer to LIMS, what is LIMS?
LIMS is the system that we use to log evidence.
Okay. And again, is there handwriting of yours on this envelope?
Yes.
And do you indicate from where this item has come from?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me just show you the actual item. And let me just go back to this. Was it assigned an item number?
Yes.
Okay, and what item number is this?
1-2.
And does that also show with the LIMS number?
Yes.
going to show you this now. Do you recognize that as what, one of the items that you had received from Detective Arrighi back in June 17, 2013?
Yes.
Now, one other thing I should have mentioned. Do you see some handwriting on this item?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your handwriting?
No, it is not.
Do you recognize whose handwriting it is?
I recognize the initials, which is SJW Stephen J. Walsh, who was my supervisor at the
Okay.
time.
Was he involved with you in regards to the logging in or the observations of these items?
Yes, he was the case officer, I believe.
I'm going to show you what's been marked number 60. Again, do you recognize certain handwriting on this brown envelope?
I do.
And whose handwriting do you recognize that to be?
This portion is mine, my initials, my ID number.
Okay, again, a certain numbers up there, that's not yours?
That's not mine.
All right. And was this assigned item number?
1-1. Sorry, my eyes are...
And also, this envelope here, is there an item number as well?
1-1.
Okay. And in this envelope, I'll show you two items and ask you if you recognize those items.
Yes.
Okay, what do you recognize those to be?
Discharge cartridge casing.
Okay, do you recognize, or when you had received these envelopes from Detective Arrighi, were these two in one of the envelopes?
Yes.
Or one of the bags?
Yes.
Okay. And again, handwriting similarly on these items?
SJW and SJW.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to show you what's previously marked number 61, and this brown bag, same handwriting,
Yes.
that's yours?
Yes.
And what item is this?
1-3.
And inside this envelope you recognize,
Yes,
does that also correspond to,
it does, 1-3.
show you this item, do you recognize it?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
Discharge cartridge casing.
Oh, and is there handwriting on this as well?
SJW.
Okay. And the last one, marked now 62. Can you recognize the handwriting?
Yes, I do.
That's whose handwriting?
That would be mine, my initials, my ID number.
And what item number is that?
1-4.
And inside this smaller envelope, is that-
1-4.
Okay. Just going to show you this item. Do you recognize it?
Discharge cartridge casing.
Okay, and also there's some handwriting on that.
SJW on the side as well.
Okay. And do all of these items appear to be in substantially the same condition, with the exception of the additional writing on it, as when you first had received them and observed them back on June 17th of 2013?
Yes.
And in your observations of those items, were you able to determine what caliber those shell casings were?
I didn't make any determination. That would be Sergeant Walsh. That
Your Honor, if I could just, these items, if I could, Your Honor, I'll just quickly show you. Okay, the first one, which was marked 59, you said you recognize that as the item?
Yes.
You indicated you indicated you're in the ballistics unit.
Yes.
Recognize, or can you determine from what I'm showing you of this discharge casing, the caliber of the firearm?
It's clearly marked 45 auto, Federal.
Does that indicate a brand?
Yes,
And what brand is that?
Federal.
I'm going to put number 60. You see that all right, sir?
Yes,
And what caliber is that?
45 auto,
And can you see what the manufacturer is there?
Spear.
How about that next one?
45 auto,
And the manufacturer?
Federal.
Now, placing the item from exhibit number 61. You see that all right?
Yes,
And what does that indicate in terms of caliber?
45 auto,
And how about in terms of manufacturer?
R&P.
And lastly, I'm going to put the item from number 62. Can you see that all right? Is that visible to you, sir?
Yes,
Okay, and what caliber?
45 auto.
And, well, the manufacturer?
Not too familiar with that stamping.
Okay. Can you see what it actually,
It's clearly marked A&P 09.
now, sir, you indicated at some point there was a ballistician from your unit who was assigned.
Sergeant,
this case?
Sergeant Walsh.
Okay. Did you have any other involvement in the investigation of this matter?
Yes,
Directing your attention to June 19th, did you go somewhere on that date?
I did.
Where did you go, sir?
To the medical examiner's office in Cape Cod.
Okay. And did you go, on that date, was there an autopsy for Odin Lloyd?
Yes,
And did you recover certain items from that autopsy?
I did.
And what did you recover?
2 jacketed projectiles,
Okay. When you say jacketed projectiles, just describe what you mean.
copper jacketed projectiles.
Okay. You want me to approach? So I'm going to just show you 2 items. First of all, I'm showing you an envelope. You recognize that?
I do.
And what do you recognize it to be?
That would be our limbs tag on the top with the item number, my initials, my ID number.
Okay, do you see some of your handwriting on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Does that indicate the date that, of June 19th?
Correct.
And just going to have you take a look in here, see if you see one of the items that you recovered on that date.
Yes.
Show you this next. I'm sorry, and this one was marked what item number?
12-1.
Okay. Showing you similar envelope. Do you recognize it?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
It's limb stamp, my initials, my ID number, the date.
And that's in your handwriting down in the corner?
Correct.
And is this the second item that you recovered?
Yes.
And Just describe the items that you recovered on that date.
Jacketed projectiles.
I'd offer, again, the projectiles as the next two exhibits.
No objection to the projectiles, Your Honor, without all
Right.
that.
Maybe marked as the next two exhibits, envelopes to be substituted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And 67.
If I could publish this, Your Honor. So I'm just going to show you this item. Do you recognize this as one of the items you had collected from the autopsy?
Yes.
And now I'm placing what was marked as item 67. To recognize this as the other item
Yes.
you collected from that autopsy.
Yes.
Excuse me, Your Honor. That's all the questions I have. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You're now in the private sector, is that correct?
Correct.
And on June 17, 2013, when you were with the state police, am I correct that you arrived at the scene around 8:13 p.m.?
I don't recall the exact time.
Do you have any memory at all about what time you got there?
I don't recall.
Show your documents, sir. Does that refresh your recollection at all about whether you arrived at the scene that evening around
Yes.
13?
Yes.
Is that about the time you got there?
Correct.
And you arrived with your sergeant, Stephen Walsh?
We didn't ride in the same vehicle, but in close
You
proximity.
got there at the same time, pretty much?
Close proximity,
Okay.
yes.
And after you got there, Detective Arrighi of the North Attleboro Police Department handed you some evidence, right?
Correct.
Okay. And 2 days later, you went to the medical examiner's office and you were handed some evidence, right?
Correct.
And you have no personal knowledge of where that evidence came from or how it was collected, do you?
Which evidence are you referring to?
Well, let's start with the casings. Do you have any you weren't there when the casings were collected,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So you have no personal knowledge of that,
Correct.
right? Were you present during the autopsy?
Not in the room, no. I was in the building.
And after the autopsy, somebody in the medical examiner's office handed you some evidence, right?
Correct.
And you transported that evidence to the ballistics unit.
Correct.
And that's what you did with respect to the casings you received from Detective Arrighi at the scene on the 17th, right?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
We're going to suspend now. It's a few minutes before 4 for the day. Again, tomorrow, we're going to go on this view. We'll all go together on a bus. Council and I will accompany you there. There will be some walking outdoors, so please dress appropriately. It's supposed to be freezing cold, so take that into account. And you probably all want to have boots on. I don't think we're not going to go on any long hikes, but there will be walking. And so please do dress appropriately so that you all will be able to walk together as a group. Also, as soon as you're all here, we're going to try to bring you in earlier than 9 when everyone is here, so we can start earlier. And as I indicated yesterday, Council have indicated it may take about 4 to 4.5 hours. So if we come back, so we may end up excusing you after 1, but from what Council said, they don't expect it to be very much longer than 4.5 hours. As I've told you in the past, you continue to avoid any reports that could be about this case anywhere in any media or Facebook or social media, anywhere at all. Don't talk to anybody about the case. Don't allow anyone else to talk to you about it. If you hear his name being mentioned by someone else, walk away. Avoid anything about this case. Don't do any research about this case. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
All rise for the jury.
It's fine. I have one matter to take up, which is really a sort of a scheduling matter. A motion was filed that Council hasn't seen yet by CNN for daily access to exhibits. It's my understanding that, in fact, daily access has been provided to all documentary and photographic exhibits, but it's been black and white. The clerk's office does not have a color photocopier. I have a request, however, for a quick hearing on their motion, and I plan to do that tomorrow afternoon when we come back from the view. I will hear Council as well. The motion is broader than photographs. It appears to request that CNN have physical access to all exhibits, physical exhibits, not just photographs, so that they then can take their own photographs of physical exhibits, as well as having access to documentary or photograph exhibits so they can make color photographs. I will hear them on that motion tomorrow. You should, before you leave, the clerk will give you copies. It was filed sometime this afternoon, I understand.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have one matter with respect to the view. I'd ask the court to instruct the jury prior to the view that it's customary for only counsel and the court to go on the view, and that Mr. Hernandez will not be present. I don't want the jury to think that Mr. Hernandez is not interested in attending the view, and I think that an instruction like that is appropriate.
I'll do that. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.
All rise. Court's adjourned.
I need to talk to you for a few minutes. You should get copies, or have they been emailed copies, or how do they get copies?
Of the motion?
Yeah,
I can make
council should make them. So